Hello, welcome back to my channel. This is part 2 of a conversation where I dive deeper into your astrological chart to show you how you can use major aspects to create success in your business and in your career. So if you haven't seen part 1 of this video yet, then I highly suggest checking that out as well. And for now, let's continue the conversation. Now, when we think about ambitious people, which I know you're one of those beautiful souls, you will have challenges to overcome. It's just a part of life that we signed up for, especially when we want to make it big in our careers, when we want to build our own businesses. We sign up for becoming comfortable with the uncomfortable. We sign up for becoming professional problem solvers. You're just going to face a lot of challenges, and this is where it's really good to know where these challenges are most going to come up in your career, in your business. And this is what I love to look at Saturn for. Saturn shows you where you are challenged, and challenged in a way that is actually a really beautiful gift, because there can be multiple reasons for why Saturn is in this placement for you. It could be that you've actually mastered this in a past life, and so your soul decided to sign up for the advanced level in this area of life. It could also mean that you absolutely did not master this before, and so your soul wanted to make sure that there was no way around it for you in this life. You're going to have to step up your game. Regardless of the reason, this is where the challenges are handed to you, and it truly is a gift. I'm saying that because where Saturn lies in your chart, no matter how challenging it is, when you show up for the challenge, when you conquer the obstacles again and again, you're actually going to be rewarded in this area of your chart way more than anywhere else. And this is why I mentioned earlier Jupiter. There's more to Jupiter than just the straightforward meaning behind it, because Jupiter and Saturn work together. Jupiter is the part where you are extremely lucky in life and where you can really experience massive amounts of abundance, because it signifies growth and expansion. And it does that for the area of your chart where it's in. But it works with Saturn. Unless you really overcome obstacles in your area of Saturn, Jupiter can't do as much for you. So of course, there's way more that I could say about that. I'm not going to dive too deeply in that here. If you want to book a session, I'm here for you, and perhaps we'll talk about it in future videos. But Saturn is really healing when you understand where this is, because it makes the obstacle, at least for me and my clients, it has been this experience of, oh, I understand it now. And now that I understand it, it's not as big a deal as it was before, because it gives you this permission slip that you're not doing anything wrong. There's nothing wrong with your actions. There is nothing wrong with your manifestations. This is simply the advanced level of the game of life that you're playing. So Saturn is not a place of punishment at all. It is an invitation for growth. And when you accept that invitation, the rewards that you'll receive are beyond anything else. So for example, I have Saturn in Aquarius in the 3rd house, and a huge struggle for me has been to truly accept and embrace my authentic self, which is why I made these videos in the first place, because as I said in part 1 of this video series, I struggled with being able to build a business in my own unique way. And I went on this deep dive to figure out how I could embrace that, how I could really be my authentic self. And it started as a business journey, but it turned into a very personal journey of embracing who I am in life as a whole. And so that has been a struggle, but the more that I have embraced that, the bigger the financial rewards in my case have been, especially because it's also in my 3rd house of social media. And so growing on social media has really given me a lot of obstacles, and every single time I overcome one, my growth really spurts up, and then there's like this little halt, nothing happens, and I know a challenge is going to come, and the moment I overcome it, it just goes up again every single time. And so by the way, speaking of growth, speaking of social media growth, if you're enjoying this video and you want to spread it to more people, help me out and just hit that little like button, because it really does so much for this channel. So thank you. When we think about making money and using our skills in order to do so, whether in a career or a business, it's really helpful if you can see one of your deep core skills in your chart. And there are several ways of seeing this, absolutely, but the one that I find really, really profound is seeing how you are here to help heal others. And this doesn't mean anything spiritual per se. It doesn't have to mean that you have healing gifts where you can physically or emotionally heal someone. It doesn't mean that it has to be in any kind of health department, but there's an area of your chart where you can truly understand others because it is also your deepest wound in this lifetime, speaking emotionally, a wound of the soul. And this is your Chiron placement. This is so deep that this is not something you will ever fully fix in this lifetime, but that's okay. It's not here to be fully fixed. It is here to be understood, here to be loved and cared for and healed. And healing is so different than fixing because healing can have taken place while the wound still exists. Speaking of a spiritual healing, of course. The wound in the case of Chiron will still exist, but in a way where it turns into your biggest gift. It is no longer a wound that is harming you. It is no longer a wound that can... I wanted to say that can be infected, but actually, you know what? If I think about this from the wound analogy, it is a wound that is no longer harming you in the sense that it can do anything bad to you once you've healed it. However, with it still being an active wound in this lifetime, it can actually be infected because it is the place where you're most easily triggered into hiding again. Which is very interesting. And there's so much that I feel like I should do an entire video on Chiron alone. So if you want that, let me know in the comments and I will definitely make that happen. Okay, so all that to say that Chiron is your biggest wound, but with that also your biggest healing gift. This is where you can truly empower others in the most profound way. And when you understand this, and infuse that into whatever it is that you're doing to make money, right? Business or career. Oh my goodness, are you going to change lives? No matter what it is that you do, people will come back to you again and again. And so again, for example, I have my Chiron in Leo in the 5th house. And speaking of Leo specifically, it has been a real struggle for me. And you can see Chiron in your early childhood as well. It has been a real struggle for me to fully show myself, to let myself shine my light and to be in the spotlight, the proverbial spotlight, right? If you think about Leo and letting it roar, letting everybody hear its roar and like the beautiful mane of like, look, this is who I am. And it's so empowering. And I was doing the opposite. I was really hiding. I wouldn't let anybody see me. If I thought about having a YouTube channel later on, I'd be like, that's not me. No way. No way am I gonna show myself. And I really had to learn that very deeply. But with that came my biggest gift. And that is to empower, and it makes me emotional, to empower others to shine their light, to let them find their inner confidence, to let them see how absolutely beautiful they are inside and out, and let the world see that as well. And so you can see, and when we talk about, if we ever have a session together, when we talk about your Chiron, it will probably be emotional for you as well because this is such a deep thing. It doesn't even need to make logical sense, but it is a pain. And that pain is so beautiful to help other people with, as well as healing yourself, obviously. But you can't help other people with something unless you've healed yourself first. As with anything else in life, also in business and career, it is incredibly helpful to know where your soul wants to go and where it came from. Because where it wants to go, if you actually follow that path, you're going to reap the most rewards and it's going to be the most fulfilling to your soul because you are actually taking the path that it wanted to take. And knowing where you came from is going to be incredibly helpful because where you came from is going to show you what your innate gifts are, the wisdom that you just somehow already have. You don't even need to work hard at it. It's just there. And these are the aspects that I'm talking about here are your north and your south node. Your north node really tells you what your north star is, like, okay, what direction am I going in? And whatever I do, if it matches that direction, I know I'll feel the most fulfilled and therefore reap the most rewards. And if I think about the south node, we can really see what have you already conquered in past lives? What have you done so many times over that you know that stuff inside and out? And so again, as example, I have my North Node in Capricorn and my South Node in Cancer. And we can talk about that in many different ways. One of the things that really shows me is that I have given multiple lifetimes to other people, where I was taking care of other people, where I was probably even a stay-at-home mom or something to do with the house, with the home, with the family. And in this lifetime, which is uncomfortable for me, often it is with your North Node, I had to really learn to do the opposite, to go out into the world and to put myself first. Ooh, that is a big one for me. Putting myself first. It is a lesson that I continuously keep learning in deeper and deeper ways. Capricorn is very ambitious, and so building a business was something I always wanted from an early age on, yet I also had a side of me that wanted to be a stay-at-home mom and is very traditional. And so I can see how I can bring that nurturing, caring mom side of me into the work that I do. And if you have watched the first part of this series, you will know that my moon sign is in Cancer as well, and how I use that in my business and how you can as well. And so you can see how things can also overlap. So I use that nurturing side as I'm building my business, and it sets me apart from so many other ambitious people. We all do it in our own ways, and this is my superpower. So your South Node is going to show you exactly what you can take with you from the past, however, not what you want to repeat from the past. So if I would have given in to my desire to be a stay-at-home mom, I would have felt very unfulfilled. Something would have been missing, even though I would have been very good at it. But in this lifetime, I know where I'm going, and I know what to bring with me on the way there to success. There are, of course, other placements that I haven't mentioned yet, but I wanted to make sure to cover the major ones that I use the most. And as you continue to listen on this episode or watch this video, you'll find that your mind is just automatically already opening up to all of the possibilities that are present in your astrological chart. And if anything is not making sense yet, don't worry, just stick around in this community and together we will make this work beautifully for you. I also love to work with the transits to create content, plan launches, schedule in photo shoot days. There's so much that you can do with this. And just for clarification, transits basically means the movement of the planets, because your birth chart is the chart of the moment of time in which you were born. However, the planets never stop moving. So we have our birth chart, and then on top of that, we also have a transit chart, which is basically where the planets are in this moment of time. And you can look at that individually, just at the transit chart, or you can look at that in combination with your own chart. There's many ways to go about that. And if you want to know a little bit more about the transits and how that all works and how your birth chart is created, then I highly recommend watching this video, or check out episode 9 if you're listening on the podcast right now, because I explain how a human design chart is created, and that works the same way for your astrological chart. So dive into that one and you will find out a lot more. So as an example of how I may use this is I may look at the transit moon to see how we're all feeling emotionally at a certain point in time, and to make sure that my content actually matches up with that state of being, because we can feel really dark and deep, or we can feel really positive and excited, and making content for one when we're feeling the other, it's not really gonna match. And so this is something that I use way more for things like Instagram, short form content that doesn't live as long in comparison to YouTube, a blog, or the podcast, which is going to live on forever anyways. So for the shorter term content, it's very nice to know what is actually going to resonate with people in this moment in time. And as I mentioned, I also like to know when I'm going to be extra sparkly, when I'm going to be extra magnetic. So I may look at the transit Venus to know where my magnetism is turned on right now, but also when it is extra magnetic, which is especially when it comes back over the Venus placement on our birth chart. On those days, I will make sure to either do a full photo shoot or just snap a lot of pictures. Maybe I will film more videos than I normally do because I'm extra magnetic in the way that I'm speaking. When I am prepping for a launch, that's a great time to actually film the content that I'm going to use later on, because I'm in my magnetism, which means that it's much easier to attract your ideal clients during that time. Now, I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about your ideal business strategy. And this works for your career as well, because where we have talked about individual placements so far in part 1 and in part 2, you can also look at your chart as a whole, and I do this specifically for business strategy because all the moving pieces together is going to really show me how you are uniquely designed to build and scale your ideal business or career in a way that's going to create the most success with the most ease. It is really powerful. And if you want my help with that, then I would absolutely love to dive into your charts with you. You can check the description to see how we can work together. It would be an absolute honor to create this custom strategy for you to manifest whatever it is that you want to manifest right now. And if you love astrology, then you're gonna love human design. And in this video, I'm explaining how to use the human design system to create success in your business. So I definitely recommend checking that one out next. Or if you're listening on the podcast, check out episode 8, where I explain the same thing. Thank you so much for being here. Keep lighting up the world with your unique light and keep following your dreams because they are truly meant for you. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you in the next one.